Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Today, we are welcoming you to our season 2, episode 2 of our Stop Being Invisible podcast. And today is a very special day, Dr. Lane, right? Because we have a guest, and it's the first time that we have a guest in our podcast. But it's a very, very important topic that we're going to talk about. And it's about how to keep our children safe in schools in the context of special needs, disabilities, and in particular, those children who are in wheelchairs. Of course, this is not just for children, it's not just for schools, and it's not just for children with disabilities. We want to make sure that everyone knows this content, this topic, but we have a particular interest in children with disabilities. Of course, this is what our podcast is all about. And in particular, those students who are in wheelchairs, because we are going to talk about choking in schools, choking emergencies. And Dr. Lane, I guess it's time to introduce our special guest, Mrs. Toni L'Abbate from Equal First Aid. Welcome to our podcast, Mrs. L'Abbate.
Toni, welcome.
Thank you so very much.
And I know, Dr. Lane, you and I were talking about how important we think this topic is, and I know you and I worked in schools for many, many years, and we know how children, especially children with special needs, when I was a classroom teacher, I had to walk with my class to the cafeteria, and we had to make sure that the cafeteria was properly staffed, in particular, because we had the situation. We had children in wheelchairs, and we had children who, we said this the other day, they just would shove everything in their mouth. Like they would just eat without any, we would have to tell them to slow down, right? Right. Mm-hmm. And I know, Dr. Lane, you were once in a choking situation personally, right?
Yes,
not you, but somebody, you saved somebody in a choking situation.
Yes, I did. My grandmother had come down for a family picnic, and she was on the porch, and all of a sudden she started choking. And I, being a school administrator, and we've been trained in all that kind of stuff, I did the abdominal thrust on her. And when I did, the piece of hot dog actually popped out of her mouth. Now, I'm going to blame it because I don't want to take responsibility, but I blame her because she was old and I wound up breaking 2 of her ribs. But I loved her so much, I just squeezed her tighter than I should have. So, but it did work, and I'm very thankful that it worked out that way. So,
right.
Yes.
So, Ms. Toni, tell us about your organization and what you do with Equal First Aid.
Thank you so much. First, I would like to thank you both very, very much for this opportunity to help Equal First Aid raise awareness for this very important topic. We are a newly formed 501c3 organization, and we raise awareness for anybody that may have a disability or who may be in a wheelchair in the event of a choking emergency. About a year ago, we formed this organization. My passion has always been to help the elderly. I've always worked with students in wheelchairs and medically fragile for my whole life. I came across this product, and I'm truly thankful that I did. My goal is to see that these devices are made readily available for anybody with a disability. First of all, for anybody, like we talked about earlier, in every school and every restaurant, all that, everywhere. But we also would like to see it made readily available in the disability communities. So our organization we're out there, we're raising awareness. There are 3 states at the moment that have bills in place that would allow these devices to be placed in the schools. But the bills are now, as we're going along and learning more, with the legislation, they are now trying to amend the bills to also include the disability communities, which is really great. The restaurants should all have them. Everybody should have this device. So little by little, we're raising awareness, and hopefully my goal is in every single state to have legislation and make everybody safe.
So when we're talking about this device,
May I jump in for
right?
just a second?
Sure.
Tony, you said there are 3 states that have the legislation, or they're
Yes.
working on it, whether it's in place or not. But
Right.
could you name those 3 states for us? Just because if we have somebody who's a legislator or happens to know a legislator, I've worked in politics for a while, so I am very interested in knowing, when I talk to my legislators on election day, that I can say to them, here's something you need to look into. So could you name those
Yes.
3 states for us?
Sure,
I'm sure
absolutely.
the audience
Yes.
would appreciate the names
Of-
also.
Of course, yeah. So we have New Jersey, which is the oldest legislative bill. It's going into its 3rd session. That's Bill S-73. We have Pennsylvania, that is currently in the House Bill HB 2673. And then we have New York. New York was introduced last March and actually passed the Senate in June. So that was a great big celebration. We were able to have a Senate version passed. However, as we know, the Assembly and the Senate have to move together. So it did not. So now it's all going to be reintroduced again. So now, our Senator and Assembly are working on that.
Great, thank you very much. I think
You're
it was very, very valuable. Dr. Ingrid, I
Thank
didn't mean to
you.
interrupt.
No,
I
not a
do appreciate.
problem.
I appreciate
Very
that,
important to know,
and we are
especially
also
because
working. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So, I just wanted to say that there is, we are now working in Connecticut also, and Wisconsin are going to be, I'm hoping, the next, because we do have some families that either lost their child or saved their child, that are very big advocates and really are fighting and pushing through to see that everybody is saved with these devices.
So now I just wanted to show what these devices actually look like, because when we say devices, people may think it's this big, cumbersome, difficult thing to use. And really what we're advocating here, and when I say we, is because Toni and I met maybe a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And we have been advocating together for this. We've advocated in New York City. We've been doing, we've been moving around New York, and my dream is to be able to help Toni, see a bill in every single state, because I do believe that this is a very, very, very important issue. There's no other. I mean, as a parent, this is like, this is the core of my being as a parent. I think there's nothing more important than keeping my child safe. And, as a family member, as an advocate of people with disabilities, yes, I don't want a minute to be wasted in order to save their life. So I don't know, I would like to show people what this device looks like. It's the simplest thing to use.
Would you like me to, I'll show this one here. This is, this one here is a non-invasive airway clearance device. This is called the LifeVac. This is Equal First Aid's preferred airway clearance device because it is non-invasive, easy to use. You push the mask on, it's very easy. Attach your mask, place this over the nose and mouth, push and pull. It's just like a plunger. And each unit comes with a smaller mask also for a pediatric mask. So there's 2 sizes, and it's very simple, and it's very inexpensive also. They're under $70. And the best part is that if this bill goes through, or if schools do have these devices, it's a one-time purchase. If a device is used by anybody, the company will replace it free of charge.
Oh, wow.
Toni, Toni, this is the first time we met. So, I mean, I appreciate the device that you sent me. Would you walk me through the program? I have it right here. Would you mind walking me through what I would do with it? Okay.
Sure.
There's a child choking. I grabbed the device now. What else would I do? What would I do from here?
So very simply, you just open the bag, remove the contents, and you'll very clearly see that each one is wrapped individually. You can see a pediatric mask or an adult mask. You assess the situation. If you need the adult, mask, you unwrap it.
Okay.
You can unwrap the mask out of its plastic wrapper. And you have plenty of time. So you just rip it open.
That was my problem, ripping it open on some.
Nope, just rip it open. That's right. You assembled it. You place the mask over the nose and the mouth of the choking person. Right. And then you would push and pull. So you would get a seal onto the choking victim.
Right.
And then you push and you pull, and it would dislodge the item, the steak, the hot dog, anything. I mean, leaves, rocks, they're saving children from everything, and adults also.
That is very easy to say, you know. I
And
was not
Dr.
paid to
Lane-
say that. I'm saying that is very easy to use.
So, and also I get a lot of questions, you know, people are afraid, well, wouldn't it push the object back down? But this device is a venting system right here. It's a one-way valve. It's vented. So as you push down, you'll feel the air coming, right? So if your mask is on and you push down, you feel the air coming out. So you're not pushing the object further down. When you pull up, you have the suction.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
It's very easy.
Right.
Yes.
And this was actually studied, correct? I mean, I read some peer review articles
Yes.
on various journals. This was actually studied. And I believe it was like almost 100% effectiveness, correct?
That's right. Yes, 100%.
With this particular one, I don't know if there are any studies with any other one, but I also have one.
Yes,
With this particular one, the life back, I know.
right.
There were studies conducted, and it was 100%. I don't want to say 100%, almost 100% effective. And I believe the ones that I read, there was a couple of instances that the person actually passed away, but it was from injury sustained before the action. So the item got dislodged, but the injuries that were sustained were serious enough from before.
From before, right?
Yeah.
Well, this, like I said, this is the one that I advocate for because it's non-invasive. It's easy to use. Anybody can use it. And we have to give our disabled an equal chance to be rescued should they choke. So I firmly believe that this should be on the back of every wheelchair. This should be in every restaurant. I know that we talked briefly the other day about the ADA compliance and, you know, restaurants and schools and, you know, everybody had to become ADA compliant, but now you're allowing them to be in restaurants and school programs and movie theaters. However, you know, they serve food there. What's going to happen should a choking emergency arise? You know, very simply, not everybody knows what to do in a choking emergency, but are medically fragile. Sometimes you can't do the current protocol. They're just too fragile. Their wheelchairs are too big. What happens if you can't do it? You have another rescue option. So as you see here, my motto is no option is not an option. We have to give everybody an equal chance to be saved should a choking emergency arise.
Right. And this is where we, in my opinion, you know, I believe, you know, we're not lawyers here, none of us are lawyers, but we believe as advocates that, you know, to be ADA compliant means to have the same type of access. And you know, when it comes to first aid, what's more important than being able to be saved in life-threatening emergency like this one? So I do believe if any time that we're wasting precious time because, you know, as we were told, the protocol is we have to have 2 people, we have to remove them, we have to make sure that we, you know, we're around the wheelchair. Like there's so many ifs that in order to perform this as it should be, then we have to waste time to save a person. So this would allow for that to make up for that
Right.
difference. It'll be that option that will save the child, you know, in that type of emergency.
Right.
Any person really, I'm saying child,
No,
to
anybody.
the children, but
Well, what I learned too was the passion started to really, I really started to get a fire under me, because when I was researching what do you do in the event that somebody is in a wheelchair, and I came across videos that showed you lay the wheelchair down, you take one of those moving straps, like if you're moving furniture, and you wrap it around their body so they don't fall out, and you lay the wheelchair down. And I know I'm a very realistic person. That's not happening. So I know that there really is, we spoke, of course, as we talked earlier, to the Department of Education. I've had several letters back and forth with them, and they truly believe that because they have a two-person assist, they would evaluate the situation when it would arise, and they blew me off. So I feel like that's also not an option. We need to make these devices, these LifeVac devices, readily available to everybody, because we don't want to have it where, and again, like I say, realistic, it's somebody taking care of, your mom taking care of your brother, my aunt taking care of her son. Sometimes you just can't do the current protocol because, because of size, because of wheelchair, because of the medical disability. And we just need to have a simple, inexpensive rescue option.
right. I mean, I always bring up my brother just because he's 260 pounds, much taller than me. I really can't get around him. So if he is choking, I don't have too many options. And I am trained as well in the abdominal thrust because I was also an administrator. But I know I'm just as realist as you are. I also worked in schools for many years. I've had students in wheelchairs. And I know when I was a classroom teacher, I was sometimes in a classroom with 5, 6 children in wheelchairs. Obviously, I did not have enough staff to cover that 2-person protocols that would something happen. I just didn't. It's just not possible. You have the amount of staff that you have, and you would have to leave other children unattended if something did happen. And that's not an option either. That's not
right. And we're now raising awareness. There is another option out there, and I really don't want to be, when something happens, to say I told you so. We don't want anybody else to die from choking when it's not necessary anymore. Nobody has to die from choking.
And sadly, we hear in the news that this happens very often. Do you happen to know, I know it's a major cause of death in the United States. Do you happen to know what number it is?
I believe it's the 4th leading cause of death in the United States, and about 5,000 people die each year from choking. So, and again, then I'll let you guys take the mic back, but in New York, when we were advocating, we had one senator that did not want to approve of it, and he just basically said maybe in 5 years, come back to him and talk to him about it again. And I just remember clear as day, well, that would be 25,000 people who have to die first before we do anything about it, and that's not really an option.
Yes.
And Dr. Ingrid, I know you and I had talked before about, parents send their children to school and they want them to be safe. And here we are providing them another option.
And you and I talk about all the time about the importance of parent involvement. So if anyone who's listening is a parent out there of a child with disabilities, here's one issue where you can get involved. Talk to your school nurse, talk to the school administrator, talk to anyone, call the district. You have a say in this. So if you're a parent, call your elected officials, especially if you're in one of the states where there's a bill in the making. There's a law in the making. Or anybody really, if you're interested in this topic, in this issue. To me, is number one, keeping our children safe. I know you and I talked about this, Dr. Lane, because we were both school administrators. And, I learned this from an administrator when I was a teacher. And he said, when, some days weren't the best days. They weren't the greatest days in terms of academics. But he would say to me, the first thing a parent wants you to do is to keep their child safe. So just always remember that. The first thing that the parents would want you to do because I had, my children had all kinds of disabilities, multiple disabilities, behavior issues, and they were bigger and taller than me. So some days weren't great. And he would say to me, the first thing that the parent would want you to do is to keep them safe. And, as a parent, I can totally understand that. And I think you have the same experience, Dr. Lane.
Yes, I have, keep them safe. They don't have to learn anything today, but just keep them safe. That's what parents expect from you.
Yeah.
And talking to politicians, we're only 28 days from election day. In most cases, you may see your representative or your senator, or even if it's just your mayor, at the polling place. This would be a good time to say, hey, I saw this device on Dr. Lane and Dr. Ingrid's podcast, and I'd like to, give you more information about it. How would they do that, Toni? How would they reach you? What would they do to get somebody to be able to talk to you about this?
Thank you.
Other than watch our podcast, because we want them to watch our podcast.
Of course.
But how can they get to you?
Sure. So after they watch the podcast, I am open to, I answer all of my emails. They can text me. We can share, I'm just equalfirstaid.org. They can, equalfirstaid, one word.org. They can go to my website. On our website, we have a change.org. We also have a letter of support that you can electronically sign. From there, we, collect the letters of support and give them to our local representatives and, in bulk, and just say, this is all the support that we have. We also have organizations, which is amazing. I can't believe how many people and how many organizations have formed behind me now. We have the National Association of Down Syndrome, who is supporting us. We have Spina Bifida. I have Autism Speaks. That's just to name a few. And we also, so getting back to your question, because I can go on and on, they can go to my website. My phone number is on there. My email is on there. They can call me, text me. Anybody in any state, if you'd like to place a bill in your school, it's very simple. I know that a lot of people say, oh, I have a full-time job, I'm very busy at work. Really, it's a matter of, I will provide you the bill, the one that passed in New York, for example. I'll just email you the bill. We can ask your local representative if they would introduce a similar bill. And then from there, we would just advocate and raise awareness. And we plan on like I said, raising awareness in every single state. So I have a lot of work ahead of me, another 47 states. That is my goal. I hope my goal now to have 2 states pass is June 15th. So again, I would love emails, phone calls, texts, and I will gladly help anybody, walk them through the process if they need it.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Dr. Ingrid, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, it's a very, as you said, it's a very important time to do it now that we're approaching election day. It would be the perfect time to call your representatives and let them know what's important to you. And, again, what's more important than keeping your child safe. And again, if you're a parent out there, we always talk about how important it is to be involved in your child's education, but you can't educate children if you can't keep them safe. So again, this is a number one issue in our minds today. I think we pretty much covered everything, right? Is there anything else that you would like to add, Toni?
I would definitely like to add something.
Okay.
We do know that without the legislation, some schools are afraid to even accept a donation. Like I said, the units are very inexpensive. It's a one-time purchase. We need the legislators to let the people know that it's okay, let their districts know and their superintendents that it's okay to have the third rescue option. It's a FDA class 2 registered device. We, again, the company will replace it if it's used. It would work, but just because for sanitary reasons, they would replace it for you. And again, just to be allowed to accept a donated unit. And we're out there, I'm hoping to do fundraisers, and coming in March, like I was telling you earlier, I would love to do a fundraiser, be able to give back to the community also. Give everybody an equal chance to be safe should they choke.
And people can find out more about the fundraiser if they like your page on Facebook. They like and follow, I'm guessing.
So I guess we would, yes, because it's not up yet. I'm going to actually finalize everything tomorrow.
Okay.
But if you follow Equal First Aid on Facebook, I will have it posted there. Honestly, because of there's so many people that I have met and so many organizations that it's even on my own personal Facebook page. So if you find me, Toni L'Abbate, on there, all my updates are on there. Again, we're working with beautiful organizations, amazing people from just, I can't even tell you how thankful I am for the support that I've received. I'm almost at a loss for words. It's really been great to see every time I go to some place or every fundraiser, and then honestly, in return, we like to support other organizations too, and their great causes. So Equal First Aid is out there. We just supported Down syndrome. We're supporting, Angela's house next week. We supported Project Thank a Cop. We were just at Connor's Closet the other night. So we are out there supporting others too, to make a difference in the communities. And we greatly appreciate the likes on Facebook, the emails, the text, anything to help us get the word out there, help us get this device in every single state, in every school, and every disability community.
Yeah.
Toni, I'm so glad we had you on. I really am honored to have somebody like you be our first guest on our program, and I hope we can help you out.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot that you gave me this chance. Like you said, we're newly formed. We're just going to go up from here. So I thank you. I hope that I have the opportunity to meet you again on here and tell you all the great things that are happening.
Well, I live in Delaware, and the 4 states that are considering the bill, or at least one of them has passed it, are definitely on the East Coast. So, maybe we'll just meet in an event or something.
I would love that. I hope Delaware is next. Let's get
I definitely got a couple of legislators that I know really well because, I used to work for the lieutenant governor. So, I would definitely know some people.
Thank you so very much. And believe me, email me, text me anytime. I greatly appreciate you both.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And I can vouch for that. She answers all her emails and all her texts in a very timely manner.
Thank you.
So with that, I just want to say thank you so much, Toni, for joining us. This was really important and very, I hope everyone out there has some very useful information and gets in touch with Toni and helps us, make sure that this ends up in every school where children need. Thank you so very much. And we'll see you all again in our next podcast. Thank you so much.
Toni, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lane. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.